Hello, all. Welcome to a late edition of Embalming Hour, and I don't know what you call this. It's very European today. Nobody from the Scream Stream except, well, I guess 50% of today's Scream Stream, and Lee might be joining us, and I'm hearing myself in my head. Sorry, but we're joined by my favorite Europeans, and could be joined by my roommate and could be joined by another, just strictly Europe. First, Bryan Lomax from Bryan Lomax Movie Talk. Bryan, say hello.
Hello.
Nicely done.
Enthralling. And it's pulling a double duty with us today from the second part of today's doubleheader, Emily from Emily's Adventures in Horrorland. Emily.
Hello. I jumped in too early then. Sorry.
It's all right. At least you said more than hello. So, and like I said, I don't know if Dennis is coming in. I don't know if Luke is coming in. But,
it's a bloody shambles.
Yeah. We'll know as they come and surprise us. But so Bryan was supposed to join us today for the director's talk, and I guess we just start and do a little bit of spillover. Bryan, we kind of just did like the greatest hits of sorts. I don't know if you've seen today's stream, but yeah, I don't blame you. It was an abortion. No, it was all right. It's fine. When you got me in there, really, like, you can't miss. So we didn't really focus heavily on anything. It was kind of like greatest hits, and it just kept going. But who did you have specifically that you wanted to talk about? Or was there...
Well, just a few different people, really, because I think you can separate horror directors into certainly two camps, maybe even three, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. But certainly there's two camps. There's those that work specifically in horror, such as John Carpenter, Wes Craven. I mean, Wes Craven did make a couple attempts to kind of veer out, but it never
unsuccessfully. Right.
Yeah, it never really worked for him. So he was predominantly horror. You're talking like 90% of his CV horror. John Carpenter, 100% maybe. Has he done anything other than horror? John Carpenter? I can't think. He's done like action, sci-fi type stuff.
Yeah. I mean, They Live is. I wouldn't call that horror. That's. I don't know.
It's more comedy.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so you got the people who work generally all around within that genre, or very close to that genre, and then you've got other people like Stanley Kubrick, Alfred Hitchcock, who weren't just great horror filmmakers; they were great filmmakers, and it just so happened that they could turn their hands to horror and do just as well with it as they could in any other genre. I'd really love to see Ang Lee make a horror film, actually, but. So the one genre he's not kind of hopped into yet, but yeah. So I guess
the third group is horror directors who don't do horror at all. I'm guessing.
What's that? Sorry.
So the third group is horror directors who don't do horror.
Well, actually, I was going to say the third kind of directors are those who and this isn't really a separate kind of grouping. I guess they're just ones that don't jump to mind when you think about them, because they don't have the same kind of impact as, say, Carpenter, Craven, or Hitchcock and Kubrick, i.e. someone like Steve Miner, who has pretty much worked in horror for most of his career, but no one would really credit him as being the auteur type. So his name isn't really on the tip of everyone's tongue.
He made the fourth most racist movie in history. So I think he kind of stamped himself out of the horror category. I'm forgetting the name of the movie, but I
was he aiming for fourth?
Yeah, maybe he was shooting for higher, but yeah, it made the top 50 most racist movies ever. What's his face in blackface? 86. What's the title? Damn it. Well, anyway, Steve Miner kind of tripped himself up by doing. I'm sorry, Bryan, I cut you off.
No, it's all right. But that's it, really. I guess my question after after all that is, who would you say, or what kind, or what group? So you got the group like the Hitchcocks, the Kubricks, and then you got the ones who specifically work in horror. Who would you rather have in control of your horror film? You know, you've got a script, you're going to produce it, you're going to hand it over to a certain type of person. Do you give it to someone like Carpenter or Craven, who work specifically in horror? Or do you, I mean, like I say the names, and it's going to sound like an obviously easy answer.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Do you give it to Hitchcock or Kubrick? Because with me, obviously, I'm going to give it Hitchcock or Kubrick.
When you present it like that, it's just like, duh. I mean, I did quite a bit of reading on Psycho, and Hitchcock was just trying to make a buck with that movie. Like, he was literally just trying to exploit the genre, and he changed it. So, like, come on. Like, you get a real filmmaker or a horror director. It's I don't know. Emily, please take this. What are you sorry about? I'm telling you to answer because
well, if you ask me the same question, I would say that it's important to have a good director on top of everything else, and that making a horror movie is about more than the direction. I think someone who understands the genre-specific tropes and conventions is better in a script writing capacity, perhaps. Again, a lot of it has to do with how it's shot and the different turns the plot makes, but there's no hard and fast rules on that either. So you really want a director who's, considered generally, like, he knows what he's doing, or she, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Kubrick, The Shining. I mean, I don't know, in anybody else's hands, does that movie pull off the same effect?
Well, we've seen
again, he's a considered auteur, isn't he?
What's that?
You'd consider him an auteur, wouldn't you? Not all directors make it to that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm curious. I'm sorry, Brian. You did say something. Well,
yes, I've very rudely interrupted.
No, it wasn't an interruption when we speak at the same time. It's just.
Oh, look at us being all British and apologizing.
It's okay.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm forgetting what I said myself now, to be honest. Where were we?
Shining. I think you said something about somebody.
Oh, I said, yeah, we did get to see it made in someone else's hands, because it was made into that 2-part made for TV thing, and it was abysmal.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the fact that the maestro of horror himself, Stephen King, hated Kubrick's Shining. You know, he thought he knew better, which is why he got the TV version made.
Stephen King knows directors. You should check out Maximum Overdrive if you want to get Stephen King's directing.
It's like, I guess what I'm saying is, as good as Carpenter is with Halloween, as good as Craven was with Nightmare on Elm Street, I would rather someone who first and foremost understands storytelling, understands character, understands themes and how to build themes into the framework of the story. Because again, I think about It Follows. I can't remember the name of the director. Something Mitchell.
John Mitchell. John.
No.
I want to say John, Mike, Steve, Tim.
Anyway, he came out. He made It Follows off the back of another film, which was like a kind of art house independent drama thing that nobody went to see. And I think most people probably think his first film was It Follows, to be honest. They probably don't realize he even made a film before it. But yeah, you know, that's someone who is first and foremost interested in storytelling, and they come out the gate with something like It Follows, and boom, they know how to work themes into that kind of framework. So yeah, it's just something I find interesting, I guess, is when I look at horror filmmakers, with the exceptions being, you know, your obvious ones like Carpenter and Craven. On the whole, they don't tend to be as good as, say, your Kubricks and your Mitchells and your Hitchcocks and whatever. So,
let me ask you guys a question. How do you guys feel about Shutter Island?
Is it hard to seeing it?
Bryan?
I really liked it. Yeah.
So, do you consider that a horror movie? Because that could fall right into, because Scorsese.
I consider it a horror / thriller. Probably more emphasis on the thriller, but yeah,
psychological, right? Yeah.
Definitely horror elements in there. Yeah. But Silence of the Lambs is another one. You know, Jonathan Demme.
You look in peace.
Yeah, you look
I've
at the
heard many
film
people.
Jonathan Demme.
Sorry,
go on.
I was going to say, I've referred to the character of Hannibal Lecter referred to as a horror icon, despite the fact that those movies are considered thrillers, which is interesting.
Well, it depends on your definition of horror, really, because I mean, I had this conversation with someone the other day, which is that I feel like the genre of horror, how it's become defined, has been hijacked essentially by the children of the 80s, who, for them, horror became a specific kind of film. And actually, the word horror simply means to horrify. So, like Silence of the Lambs to me it's a horrific film. Some of the stuff that happens in that, particularly towards the end, horrifies me. You know,
oh, certainly.
Lecter rips some guy's face off and puts it on his own. You got Buffalo Bill tucking his tail between his legs and killing these women and skinning them.
Would you?
And yeah, there's a lot of really horrific stuff going on in that film. It horrifies me. So yeah, it's a thriller in the sense that it's a police procedural kind of thing, but it's also a horror. So I think I have no trouble putting it within the horror genre.
I appreciate your definition, Bryan. What does home mean to you?
What does what mean?
I'm being an asshole, don't mind.
I have a question. So how would you make a distinction, the pair of you, between a horror film and one that is merely meant to be disturbing? Something like Gummo or what's another one?
Would you consider Human Centipede in that category?
I suppose so. Or
Saw?
I don't know. Saw kind of treads on a few different genres, but say something like Salo or a Serbian film. Those aren't considered horrors, but they are horrifying.
I don't know, Bryan, have you even heard of any of those?
I've heard of a Serbian film. I've not seen it. I wouldn't want to see it based on what I've heard.
Yeah, I don't.
Just the description of it would suggest to me it's a horror. But like the problem comes with, like, people like to put things into nice, neat little boxes, and until film studies came around, the whole idea of like film genres wasn't even on the table. A film was just whatever it was. And then once, obviously, film studies came out, we started labeling things that helped studios to then market certain kinds of films. But the more intellectual filmmakers, they're not concerned with what genre it fits into. They're concerned with making a damn good film. And that's it. And then if it just happens to have a bit of horror with an element of thriller, but with sci-fi in there, then that's the way it is. But I think we kind of need to get out of this mentality of saying that, oh, it's definitely this genre. I mean, you look at Aliens, you know, that is definitely a science fiction film, but it's also definitely a horror film, and it's also definitely an action film. And people argue the toss.
No. Isn't it now?
It's a period drama. But it's like, I think we need to. I've had, people have had arguments over Aliens as, oh no, it's definitely sci-fi. No, it's a horror. It's like, well, actually, no, it's all three of those things.
Exclusive is what you're saying.
Exactly, and it's okay to be all three of those things. So to me, I will always class Silence of the Lambs as a horror thriller or a thriller horror. It doesn't matter which way you put them around. Either way, it's got both of those elements in it.
Bryan, you've seen. I'm sorry, you've seen Get Out, right? So kind of, if you can remember what you're talking about, I just want to redirect for a split second, because I feel Get Out kind of falls into this, because I don't think Get Out's a horror movie. I think it's a social drama with jump scares. how do you feel about my description of that? And would you say that falls into a similar aspect of what you're talking about? Because I don't think it's Look Who's Coming to Dinner meets Stepford Wives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say it's a social political thriller with elements of horror. Again, not mutually exclusive.
Right. I'm sorry, and
Well,
you were saying, Emily, anything to add?
Not really. I think we've talked about this at length before, so.
Nah, touche.
Nah.
I'm sorry, Brian. I disassembled your train of thought.
So you would classify the Silence of the Lambs, the Lecter movies, as horror thrillers, thriller horrors?
Yeah, I mean, I think particularly with Hannibal Rising, they were definitely going for horror with that one. That's a slasher film, plain and simple.
Well,
it's a terrible slasher film, but it's still a slasher film.
Well, by your description, then Saving Private Ryan could be a horror to a veteran.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think anybody would argue that it isn't first and foremost a war film, though. But with any war film, you're going to have elements of horror if you're trying to portray war in a realistic light, that is. But yeah, first and foremost, war film.
Do war films ever do anything else? To be honest, war is terrible, isn't it? Seems to be.
Yeah. There always appears to be that message, rather overtly throughout those movies. White Tim joins us in the chat. He says, "What's up, people? What's up, CP, Emily, and Lomax?"
Hello, White Tim.
Right. So, I brought up Get Out. I think we talked about it briefly before we went live, Brian, about directors that just haven't really, they're not considered horror directors, but they've done a horror movie. I mean, Jordan Peele's quite a funny dude. But he's only directed one movie, and so far it's horror. Who else comes to mind? I it's like you said before, Kubrick. I would say Scorsese, although Cape Fear. I guess that would count as two if Cape Fear counts. Cape Fear and Shutter Island. But anybody else on the top of your head?
Someone who really jumps to mind for me is Peter Hyams, because he's predominantly, I guess, done science fiction type films. Like he did Time Cop, he did Outland with Sean Connery, which is actually quite an underrated film, pretty decent. But he did one of my favorite monster movies, which is The Relic from 1997. Really great monster movie. It's got a monster designed by Stan Winston in it. It takes place in this museum. It's really dark, really atmospheric. Like I say, just a really good monster movie by a director who doesn't necessarily only work in horror. I mean, he did End of Days as well, actually. So,
oh, that was him.
I'd say that was a horror film as well.
Brian, I'm really sorry here. I'm gonna pause you again because the chat kind of lit up and it's quite intriguing. Failcopter West says, could it not be argued that as a crime-related film, the Lecter films are sort of horror by association instead of outright in the genre? White Tim kind of piggybacks that sentiment and says, wasn't Silence considered horror? Which I think we talked about earlier, saying it was horror / thriller.
Touched on it, yeah.
No, I think Tim's asking that in the sense that
he's answering
what wasn't Silence considered horror, that kind of thing.
Well, you're putting tone. You're putting tone to text. I like it.
I could be wrong, Tim. So if I'm wrong in that, please do correct me. But
Failcopter. But what they're saying, it's horror thriller. The question is where the line between having elements and part of the genre is. Thoroughly intriguing line of inquiry. Anybody?
So elements of the genre. Again, I think Brian has mentioned disturbing moments, particularly the actions of Lecter and it's interesting to me because Buffalo Bill is the far more realistic serial killer, despite his rather complicated modus operandi. Lecter seems to me to be more of an outright villain. He's the one who stands there and says all the lines like this and paces around his cell and prowls and gets into Clarice's mind like the devil that he is. He's less believable in that sense. I don't know if this was how he was written because I haven't read the books, but
well, yeah. Buffalo Bill's inquiries strictly are you about a size 14?
Would you?
And would you? Would you?
Yeah,
would you?
certainly.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that.
Yeah, so it's hard to. Well, I mean, yeah, to compare the two based on the way that they're messing with people. I mean, I would rather be Clarice and not Well Girl because, I mean, you're being you're stuck. I mean, at least Clarice can. Yeah, sure.
She can walk away from the cell at any point.
Right. Her psyche's getting fucked, but I mean, she's not literally stuck and still being tortured and just. I don't know.
So
Bryan?
thank you for the question, Wesley. Very helpful.
In answer to Luke, yeah, that is what I was saying, Luke.
Luke, why aren't you not in here? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, get your ass in here, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to argue about Alien Covenant, Luke. So what
yeah, it's this separation of genres. It's like people's need or desire to have a film stick purely into one genre, and it's like, get over it. It doesn't always work that way, but it doesn't stop a film like Silence of the Lambs being a horror.
Yeah, well, I mean, Alien itself, Prometheus. I wouldn't call that anything close to horror.
No, I wouldn't have said
agree.
so.
Disagree.
Well, Prometheus.
Yeah,
I'd call it sci-fi horror.
I think it was too big of a movie. It was too polished and too. There's not a term that comes to mind for these big blockbuster movies.
correct.
But,
Like you look at The Shining. That was an unbelievably polished movie, but that's out and out horror. I think it comes down to it being a film about ideas, and I think because it forced people to think just a little bit too much, they kind of overlook the elements of horror in that. But there's moments in that film I wouldn't want my little girl to see until she's at least 14, 15. So I don't know. There's things in that movie that are more horrific than some of the previous movies. It's just that I guess we've become so numb to it that.
I believe that Prometheus falls into the category of a monster movie, which is kind of demonstrably horror. Again, it was very actiony, and there was not a lot of creeping around as such. I felt like the score was very overbearing at times.
Yeah, and the chat starting to catch up with what we're talking about too. Failcopter. Prometheus tried to be horror. Whether it succeeded or not is the question. Luke says, if that surgery bed scene wasn't horror film-esque, I don't know what is. Touche. And yeah, when the backwards leg thing is outside the door, this thing, that was kind of creepy. So yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's just like if you look at the original Alien, the scene that obviously jumps out that everyone remembers is that chest burster scene. And when that film came out, we hadn't had anything like that on at the cinema before. So to have that hit you in the face,
there was the element of surprise, certainly.
Yeah, big time. But you look at Prometheus, there are more elements of that kind of horror within the film. It's just that now we've come to the point where we just expect it. In fact, we want to lock it up. And if it's not there, we say, oh, it's not an Alien film. And I say it's a horror film. I say it's sci-fi predominantly, but it's also a horror film.
I feel like one of the defining elements of the Alien franchise is the theme of isolation. It is the cabin in the woods thing, except that they can't just walk into space screaming in their underwear, really. they can't blow themselves out of the airlock to escape. There is nowhere to go. Whereas in Prometheus, we're learning more about this culture of people that live here, and there's a whole planet they can walk around on and cars they can drive. It's more thriller-like, I feel, in that respect. If that makes any sense at all?
Kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah. Kind of.
Mm-hmm. Would you want to argue with me? No? Okay.
I rushed and misspelled shambles.
Oh, no.
It's supposed to be shambles.
Shambles.
Assembles.
Assembles.
Yeah. White Tim says, "Oh, such a cheap shot, CP." Because in the chat, somebody asked what I'm doing in Denmark. I said I had a quick joke and said, "Am I running from Trump?" Which that joke murders in Denmark, by the way.
Way to pick on the poor little president, CP.
With his touchy feelings.
Mm-hmm.
White Tim says, "Oh, that was such a cheap shot, CP. There's a better excuses for leaving the U.S. than Trump." Yeah, there certainly are. But it gets a laugh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So to bring it back to Bryan, I cut you off again? You were speaking of the director of End of Days. I think that's what we kind of left off at. And chat perked the hell up.
Peter Hyams, yeah. I just think if you say name a load of horror directors now, go. Peter Hyams ain't going to be one who most people instantly speak of. But I think two films right there that I think are pretty solid, particularly The Relic, but also End of Days. I think is a pretty decent Arnie film. That are both horror films. So. I mean, I'll throw that back to you two. Name some directors who would fit that bill, who most people wouldn't think of when you say name horror directors.
We talked about Kevin Smith being not really a horror director by most people's standards, but
yeah.
I'm quite new to the horror game, so I probably wouldn't have much of an idea.
No, I think Kevin Smith's a good example. He's done. I mean, like Red State was a horror film, I would say. Actually, a pretty decent one. It's probably one of his most underrated films, I'd say. But
what about you?
Oh, I see. I need more time to think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the director of May? I thought that was really pretty bloody good, but no one seems to have heard of it.
Do you know who the director is, and you're just testing us, or are you asking?
No, I'm looking it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. So Kevin
his
Smith,
directorial debut, Lucky McKee. I don't know if that name rings any
never
bell.
heard of that.
So he's most known for the cult film May. He's done other horror stuff since.
Emily,
but yeah, nobody's heard of him. Does that count?
Your accent's getting a compliment. Which, oddly enough, Bryan's from the same damn country. So what does that say? Luke says Red State was really good, and I agree with Luke there. As far as everything else Kevin Smith has done that doesn't make people laugh, or that is a post Red State is messy. I don't know. Red State was a really neat idea. And executed fairly well. You know what? The end of Red State's a bit of a punchline, so maybe.
Just in answer to Luke's question, The Relic is one of my favorite monster movies. I absolutely love it. I've not read the book, so I can't comment on that, but I love the film. Absolutely love it.
What do we think of horror parody directors? Do they deserve a mention here?
One more time?
Yeah.
The directors of horror parody type films, like a Scary Movie, I suppose. Though they are predominantly comedy, they have to understand the genre to make fun of it. It's kind of a given. So,
Luke, Bryan,
you guys all look the same to me.
You damn British. Just.
Well, I mean, like the obvious one that springs to my mind is Edgar Wright with Shaun of the Dead.
Oh.
I mean, even Wes Craven fits that bill. When you look at Scream, he was
The original
sending
scary
up-
movie.
Yeah. But like the Wayans stuff, the scary movie films, I think we can all agree they're turds, right?
Pretty much, but they did try. They threw everything they possibly could at the screen, and some of it had to work.
Sometimes literally.
Mhm.
So I guess I could use a double dose here and answer the previous question and the current one, and say Todd Strauss Schulson, who directed The Final Girls, which I think is just perfect. It's a perfect send up. It's still kind of all right as a slasher movie if you just want to watch it as such. And he hasn't done much of. He directed a very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas. So for all those fans of that film, yeah, there's that. Have either of you seen The Final Girls?
I've not.
No, not yet. It's on the list, isn't it?
What isn't on your list?
Well, it's on the short list anyway.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. I think it's number 7 or 8 at this point, after Die Hard.
She hasn't seen Die Hard, Brian.
I haven't seen most things. Let's just get used to that.
Yeah. She hasn't seen most things. If it exists, she hasn't seen it. Yeah, Edgar Wright. You really see. I would call Edgar Wright. If we're going back to the categories, I think he's more in that first category. He's so polished with the way he does stuff. Yeah. So his movies look like movies, like horror. You could tell sometimes they're leaning on a jump scare, shaky cam, just die, like really.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some overrated horror directors?
A lot of people don't like Del Toro, do they?
Oh,
it's a good way to open.
I love Del Toro. I think he's great. But yeah. No, I mean,
you flabbergasted Brian.
Pan's Labyrinth is. How can anyone question the brilliance of Pan's Labyrinth? It's fantastic.
I think she kind of just did.
Hey?
I think she kind of just did, to be completely brutal.
Well, no, she said that some people do. She never said that she does.
Oh, right. Well, she hasn't seen anything, so why would she?
I haven't seen his feature films. I saw the original short film version of Mama, which impressed me a lot, actually.
Right.
Because
he didn't direct those, did he? He produced them.
Perhaps. I can't even remember.
Oh, Wolf. Whoa.
Yeah, Del Toro didn't direct Mama.
Maybe not the feature-length version. He had something to do with a short that preceded it.
Right. But certainly his feature film stuff. I think that when his movies aren't at the best is when Hollywood has far too much say in what he should be doing. When he's given complete control, you get something like Pan's Labyrinth, you get something like The Devil's Backbone. But like even his Hellboy films, completely different kind of comic book movies. And I thought his last one was really underrated. A lot of people didn't like that one, but
Crimson Peak.
Yeah, Crimson Peak. I thought was pretty decent. But so for me personally, I wouldn't say he was overrated. But like someone I think of as overrated is George A. Romero, for example.
Okay.
Like I get that he not necessarily invented the zombie film, but he's the one who kind of established it, really.
Yeah, he made it look pretty good.
Yeah. he's the one who kind of gave it. He broke it away from being just some kind of.
I think before this point, zombies were more associated with voodoo, weren't they?
Yeah,
They were
that's
kind of
that's where I was going. So he
Revenant
broke
type
away
thing.
from the Voodoo Island type stuff. But yeah, so Night of the Living Dead, I'll give him credit for. Really low budget film that he did something special with. But it is, at the end of the day, a glorified student film.
Yeah, it was a social commentary too.
Yeah, it was a good social commentary. Dawn of the
Damn
Dead,
nuclear
again,
power.
Dawn of the Dead carried that social commentary over about consumerism and stuff, and it was, I think, his best film. But then after that, I don't think any of his zombie films have really reached remotely anywhere near the heights of those two. And anything he's done that hasn't had zombies in just hasn't really made a dent. Yet people still hail him as like one of the best horror filmmakers around. And yeah, what do you think about that?
I think it is hard these days to make zombie films appear remotely fresh, which makes sense given what we're dealing with. Zombies are by definition not fresh, but you get it. So I can't think of any. Who was it? Who the Return of the Living Dead? I thought was pretty damn
That
clever.
was Dan O'Bannon. That was Dan O'Bannon. The writer.
Did you sound more excited?
Alien. I know this one. Yeah, I'm sorry. 13th Wolfman said that Stanley Kubrick is overrated, and he said, "Where was it? He only made 2 good films: The Shining and Full Metal Jacket,
and Paths of Glory."
And what, Clockwork Orange?
Yeah, that's 4 now. We've doubled his.
Spartacus.
I am Spartacus.
I used to like Artificial Intelligence. I don't know if that counts.
Well,
before I knew
it's a
better.
Spielberg film, really, but yeah, I love.
I believe the ending was his.
Well, he never filmed a shot on that film, from what I gather.
Well,
he did.
He died, didn't he? Yeah, he died before it was fucking finished. So,
Yeah.
Helicopter since 2001. Yeah, I don't know. How about let's name the stuff that Kubrick did that isn't good.
I'd say 2001 is overrated.
Oh,
I'd say Eyes Wide Shut is a bag of crap.
Yeah,
it's so growing on me. Oh,
well, Eyes Wide Shut.
Yes.
Oh,
I've watched it twice in the last 8 months, and I'm just like, I think there's something there, and I have this theory that I haven't fleshed it out yet, but I think the entire movie is Tom Cruise's dream, and I haven't fleshed out why, but I'm working on it. I'll just watch it another 3 or 4.
It's kind of filmed in a dreamlike way, but then again, a lot of his movies are.
Right, and everything in the beginning kind of predicts, sort of predicts the events of the movie, or the movie. That when they get high and they have that argument where she's high off her ass and giggling, I think because they cut to black after that scene, I think he sleeps after that scene, and everything that follows that is like a dream, because when he has that house call to the house, the woman that's kind of hitting on him, she vaguely looks like Nicole Kidman, and when the husband comes home, he vaguely looks like Tom Cruise. There's far too much just incredible nudity, like just everybody's incredible looking naked in that movie. He's a doctor, and everybody that he's working on, again, lots of nudity for just I don't know, no apparent reason, but again,
it's all pretty idealized.
Yeah, and he's walking, so like he's just generically walking that night, and he comes across a prostitute. Then he meets the piano guy, and he gets this password to it, fucking the most bizarre mansion party in the history of the world, and it just so happens that was on his nightly walk when he had a house call. And
how convenient.
Right. So I still haven't fleshed it out, but it's kind of working the more I do. But yeah.
But yeah, Kubrick's not that great.
Yeah. Roger Channel Dawn says Rob Zombie overrated, and I think he needs to make a good film first to have any sort of rating worth being over.
Luke says 2001's a slog, but worth it, I guess. A worthwhile slog.
Yeah, we
slog worthy. No,
right.
That's not. It's kind of like a ringing indictment, really, isn't it? When it's like, oh, it's a real slog, but it's worth it. It's like,
how many times have I heard that? You need to bear with the film another 30 minutes.
Right.
Give it a chance. No, you have to bear with this one.
I remember there being like, I mean, I'm going through all the Kubrick stuff again, so I'm dreading actually getting to that.
When you do watch Eyes Wide Shut, I'll watch it with you, please.
Okay, no worries. But I remember in 2001 there being this one scene when the guy's got to go out of the ship and retrieve this pod thing, whatever it is. And it's all played in real time. And we literally take about 20 minutes for this scene to play out. And I'm just like, get there faster.
Pick up the pace, maybe jog. I don't know. Can you jog in space? Should you jog in space?
So to touch on that, I kind of touched on it earlier today in the Scream stream, where I would say the same about Nicholas Winding Refn. His movies look incredible. I just nope. Neon Demon, gorgeous movie. I just don't care. Care. GFY is what I have to say about that movie. Looks incredible. Mute it and play some music or something. But yeah. So that there's my 2 cents. My 2 pence worth. Got to get in the theme, right? Did I do it right? Pence.
Sure. 2 space faster.
Luke says, "Do space faster."
Oh, while we're on the subject of Kubrick, by the way, somebody just mentioned 2010, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that's a Peter Hyams film. I'm just checking.
Unless it's a typo.
I'm just.
I've seen 2000. Are you a bit dyslexic there, Brian? Because I don't think I. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So 2010.
I apologize.
Is a Peter Hyams film.
Oh no, I see that there.
Yeah. Okay, so Karen, to add anything else to that other than just dropping that little Lee nugget on us?
Well, just Peter Hyams again is the director of The Relic and End of Days, who I really like. Who apparently has done a sequel to 2001, which is a lot more watchable than 2001. So. Go check it out.
It is strange that there's some stuff like I could recognize when I'm watching, like Citizen Kane is just incredible. I own it. There's my defense. I gave money, but if you ask me to watch Citizen Kane or Point Break, I'm gonna pick Point Break 10 times out of 10. What the fuck does that say? I don't know. Just sometimes you just don't want to. I don't know. I feel like you're going to school sometimes with these movies, and boring school, not like gym or anything.
Yeah. The thing is with Citizen Kane is you're watching it and you feel like it's a filmmaker saying, "Hey, look what I can do."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
It's one of those films you have to pay attention to.
I mean, I got no problem with having a film that I have to pay attention to. You look at Inception. That's a film that you can't go into that just.
Yeah, you can't leave the room for 10 minutes and be like, "What did I miss?"
Yeah, but it's damn entertaining. It's like.
Yeah, right.
And some people would slag off Nolan, I guess, for because he makes populist material, things that people are entertained by and love. And it's almost this thing where you if you're doing that, then you can't be a true respectable auteur kind of thing. And
no, Inception made a bucket of money and had no business doing so.
Yeah.
The average American shouldn't have gone to see Inception. It's far too busy. Busy.
Mhm.
But he's got this knack. Like they're predicting Dunkirk is gonna it's not gonna meet expectations, and I'm until Nolan fails post Batman. I don't think so. I think it's gonna do all right.
Mhm.
He's just a really good filmmaker.
See, I always equate Nolan to Kubrick with Hart. And he's just done his 2001 with Interstellar, a film I thought was better than 2001, and now he's doing his Full Metal Jacket, I guess, with Dunkirk. So
Mm.
it'd be interesting to see where he goes next. I'd love to see him do a horror film. Give us Nolan's version of The Shining, whatever that is.
Would you not consider Insomnia as
It's a thriller. It's a thriller.
Memento even? I mean,
Given Nolan's
No,
heft as a director at
thriller.
this point, do you think horror benefits from not having all the money in the world thrown at it?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think it matters what money you throw at it. What matters is story, character,
Mhm.
themes. Nolan is the guy who can do that. And if you give him all the money in the world, he's going to use it to its fullest. I think the problem comes when you give a director a load of money, someone who's never had it before, and they think, "Hey!"
And they panic. And
Now I can just throw a load of crap on screen that looks cool,
Mhm.
i.e. Paul W.S. Anderson. He's not a guy about themes. He's not a guy about story or characters. He's a guy about making stuff look cool.
Oh yeah.
And that's it. So
there's that scene in Resident Evil, one of the last ones, where everything is in slow motion and it's just a glorified music video because the music is dictating the speed
Mhm.
of everything, and it, like, you could tell he's just stroking off everything. He's stroking off the song, he's stroking off himself doing shit in slow motion, and it's just like, what is this? What? Lindsay joined us. I don't know if she left already. Lindsay, thank you for joining us. Roger asks, what do you guys think of the famous horror directors that have seemed to have lost the magic along the way, i.e. Romero, Argento, Carpenter?
I think this is maybe the same kind of problem that affects great comedy directors. People like, I don't know, because it's a similar thing. You have to know how to elicit a certain response. And along the way, it's more of a struggle to do that, knowing what modern audiences want as tastes change over time. And
I think horror and comedy, most especially, there's just constant need to redo. I'm sorry.
They're similar in that they're both designed and named after the emotional response that they provoke. So, again, I think directors might suffer from fatigue from doing that too long. It's certainly possible. So that's my answer.
Bryan?
what was the question again?
Oh, where is it?
Do you guys think what do you guys think of famous horror directors that have seemed to lost their magic along the way, i.e. Romero, Argento, Carpenter? I've watched. Oh, go ahead, Bryan.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Carpenter kind of sold out a little bit, to be honest. I think at somewhere along the line, the money became more important than the filmography, I guess. And I think that actually started with Halloween, as far back as Halloween, because no, hear me out. I'm not saying he took that mentality to the film at all. I think when he made Halloween, he was a young, eager filmmaker, desperate to make the best possible films he could, and he did, because that's how you build a reputation. But he also learnt on that film that if you have your name on top of the credits, you become an icon, you know, and that's part of the deal he struck with the producers. You know, they said, look, can you make this for piss in a bucket? And he said, yeah. but I need one thing. I need it to be called John Carpenter's Halloween. And that was self-promotion at its highest. And it worked, you know, and nearly every film he did after then was called John Carpenter's whatever. And that's fine to do that if you're going to keep on putting the quality of output out there, like Halloween, The Thing, you know, Christine, which I really like as well. But then when the money becomes the primary drive for you making films and not the creativity, you end up making vampires and Ghosts of Mars and crap like that, basically.
So something John Carpenter has done after those movies, which should everybody should check it out, because it's got Daryl from The Walking Dead. So there's enough reason. He did an episode of Masters of Horror. It was titled Cigarette Burns, about a theater owner who's chasing down this movie print. I watched it because I didn't know who made it. I didn't know anything about it. I think I was working at a movie theater at the time, and they're chasing this. Well, Norman Reedus is chasing this film print that apparently makes people freak out and do crazy shit when they see it, and it's very, very Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt ish, and that was, I think, the mid 2000s where that came out, and it's a really, really John Carpenter. It's not incredibly popular, but I thought it was a return to doing all right stuff. I mean, you mentioned Ghosts of Mars and vampires. Just Oh, we've been graced. As far as what's his name? Tenenbaum. What the fuck is his name? His daughter. Yeah. I've only seen 2 of his films, so it's hard for me to comment on him.
Was Trauma a Dario Argento film? Who was behind Trauma?
The only one I've seen is the obvious from him.
What and what would that be?
Suspiria.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, it was one of those kind of European directors who made a film called Trauma.
How fitting. What about the European in him?
I'm trying to figure out who it was who made a film called Trauma, but basically,
do you want me to look it up?
Hey,
do you want me to look it up?
You can do. But my dad borrowed it from the video store when we were kids, and it went on for about 10 minutes and then went off again. It wasn't quite what he was expecting. So
what does that mean? Is it too violent, shitty? Like what?
Yeah, well, just really horrible, naff film.
Wolf, the walking encyclopedia says Argento did Trauma, the card player.
Oh, beat me to it.
Yeah.
Luke from RazorWireReviews joins us. Luke, welcome
Hello.
Out of the chat and into the fire, so to speak. Do you have anything to add to the current topic?
I've seen Suspiria. It's awesome. Very colorful.
Yes.
Yes, literally.
Yeah, Neon Demon before Neon Demon was Neon Demon. Emily. Well, comments on Suspiria. Is it a high place to fall from?
I'd say so. I mean, as far as the film's aesthetic go, it's very incredibly strong, very colorful, very symmetrical. I don't know if that's a point. It is. There's a lot of symmetry going on.
Sure. Sure.
It's just a very astounding kind of movie. If you're not prepared for, especially considering the score, it just seems to be whacking the audience in the fucking face.
Yeah, quite.
Sorry, Luke, I wasn't laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the rather unfortunate pose that Luke's picture is kind of frozen in. He looks a bit high or very tired.
Wait, what are you referring to?
It's definitely the latter.
Right, there he is. There he is.
Yeah, no, I saw him the whole time.
Was it? Is he moving on your end?
Oh yeah. Well, now he's being a dick, but yeah.
No, he's frozen on mine. His little picture's frozen, but he kind of looks like this.
Called your picture little.
That's a leak comment right there.
I'm going to type it out. So, Luke, we kind of ran through the gambit with directors. Touching on horror, are there any masters of cinema that you enjoy their horror work from? Well, we touched on Kubrick. I keep trying feverishly to shove Scorsese into the argument, but well, with Shutter Island and
the only Scorsese film I've seen thus far is Cape Fear, which you've described as maybe skirting the line. I mean, the villain in this case, the antagonist, is more of a stalker than a slasher, although people certainly do get slashed. So I guess it almost fits.
There's an incredibly uncomfortable scene in Cape Fear. Ugh.
The gingerbread house scene.
Is that on the stage at the time? Yeah.
Yes. Ooh.
Yeah,
Very
that's
hard to watch.
Well, I'm such an expert in horror, so I've got so many opinions on it. But
well, if Masters of Cinema opened up some horror movies, maybe
they do have some actually. But for me, it's Carpenter.
Yes.
Really?
That's my guy.
Could I just throw another name into the hat?
Please.
David Cronenberg.
Oh
yes.
I've seen The Fly. That's it. I own Videodrome.
You haven't seen it yet?
Not the Videodrome.
No.
Oh, boo.
Oh, listen. If anybody cannot say word one to me, I think it's you.
It's always slightly amusing to me when there's something you haven't seen as well.
Yeah.
For a change.
Right. I'll get around. I'll go watch it later just to prove a point. But
I'll do it this afternoon. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Brian. Were you just throwing a name out there just to throw a name out there? Or?
No. I just wanted to pick up on The Fly, which I think is one of the best horror films ever made. I love it. Just so many great scenes in that film, and again, a character-driven movie.
Is that a steelbook, Luke?
Love that film.
Matt?
It is a great film. One of the first horror films I saw, actually, when I was quite young. Although I actually saw The Fly 2 before that, so that was...
I'm getting better.
I've seen almost all of The Fly 2. I think I fell asleep at the very end.
What's that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's not a great film.
I'm sure it was.
Although I do believe that Frank Darabont had a hand in the script. So.
Is that good?
Have you seen The Mist? Should I even...
Have you seen Shawshank Redemption?
Oh, well, I mean, we're talking about horror. I was going to...
I've seen some of The Mist.
Yeah, that's
all right.
terrible. Patrick, hello. Jason, hello. Joining us late, early. I don't know. I'm not used to doing this time for America. Luke Cronenberg.
Yeah, great.
Dynamite. Today's role of Zach will be played by Luke.
Yeah. I think for me.
Guys, let me cut you off. Brian, today, Zach gets awfully fidgety when we don't talk to him. And Lee was asking all of our favorite directors. And these are Zach's two successive responses. Who's your favorite director? Wes Craven. What's your favorite movie? Scream.
He did go on to elaborate. We just had...
After I told him to stop being a fuckface, I mean, I had to pull it out of him. But I'm sorry. Luke, go ahead.
We love Zach, don't we?
Hugs and kisses. Zach was going to join us, but he decided to go be a contributing human.
I'm just looking at his filmography. All I've seen is The Fly and Videodrome, and actually Cosmopolis. The only film I've ever intentionally walked out of.
Emily does not like Cosmopolis, evidently.
Him.
Well, what about Scanners? Scanners.
No.
That's,
Just,
Oh, I own
that's
that too. I own that too.
have
Oh,
any of
that
you,
too.
have any of you
That's
seen Cosmopolis?
No, it's.
I
is it
tried
any
to.
good?
I watched 20 minutes.
Exactly, 20 minutes, and we were just like, should we just leave? Like,
That's the limo movie, right?
you know,
It's not specifically horror, but A History of Violence has some pretty horrific moments in it. Because he is the body horror guy, isn't he? So
Viggo Mortensen.
yeah. But History of Violence is a really good film.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't see that.
I love me some Vigo. Cronenberg is an odd duck when it comes to what is horror. The Fly is sci-fi, Brian, but his early stuff was more sexual thriller stuff.
Like The Naked Lunch, I guess.
The Fly is sci-fi
Or,
horror.
what's the one with the
Brian
two
would know,
brothers
he's
who are gynecologists? What's that one called?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was very much a sexy thriller horror. What the fuck?
Brothers who are gynecologists. That
Mm-hmm.
I don't need another word. I'm intrigued.
Damn it, I know the name. I just can't think.
Right. Come on,
Dead
Wolf.
Ringer. Yes, thank you.
Oh. Yes, thank you. Who gave you the answer?
Guess.
Oh, look at that. I'm slower than you. That's weird. Yeah. What's funny is we mentioned a lot of the directors we've mentioned, a lot of the stuff that we enjoy, are remakes. The Fly is a remake. Carpenter redid The Thing. Do I have any others? Scorsese remake on what we were just talking about.
Cape Fear.
Cape Fear. Thank you. Does that say anything? Why are these dominant horror directors redoing stuff?
Because we're running out of ideas.
But if you notice, anything I just listed, we just listed, never gets mentioned when shitty remakes.
I think it's well recognized when a director puts a stamp of improvement on an already well-respected film, or maybe even one that's a bit shit, I suppose. So what Scorsese did for Cape Fear was to give it a new angle, to make it more gritty and less black and white. So, that was, so to speak. Why is that funny?
Brian's just above all of us. That's all.
I wonder if in the 80s was everyone so precious about the remakes as we are now? Because these days we're like, oh, Halloween getting remade. Do you think they were like, oh, he's doing The Thing again? Oh man, not a remake of The Fly.
That was different. Nowadays we have franchisement, and it's a big.
That's the thing, yeah.
Horror movies are making millions of dollars back. It's kind of
very different environment too. If the internet existed back then, who knows what?
But I think the thing is that it was done so infrequently, or at least well, yeah, it would be by comparison at least.
You're right there, Brian.
Brian, what?
I'd love to see Scorsese's Cape Fear released and the poster quote saying, "It's like the original, but less black and white."
I didn't mean literally, although yeah, it is.
Is my shitting on somebody's head contagious? That of all people, Brian.
So you mean in color?
Again, I didn't mean literally.
Yeah, she did tightly follow that with a so to speak. Reality's illusion. I apologize. You asked this before. Thoughts on the next Tarantino film? What genre do you think he'll do, or what genre do you want him to do?
What genre does he normally do, if you have to call it anything?
Mexican standoff. The genre.
N-word, the genre.
Yeah. Talkie, shooty, talkie. N-word. Guys, Tarantino.
That should be the IMDb synopsis for everything he does.
And we're talkie shooty, Mexican standoff. I know how good my coffee is. I'm the one who buys it.
Crime dramas, yeah, that works.
Australian.
Oh, Failcopter. Tarantino usually does crime dramas. I guess that's fitting. Crime drama, yeah.
Jason says we can't remake Jaws. There have been a ton of shark movies in recent years, though. That seems to be its own subgenre now, shark movies. Terrible ones, namely. One of my friends in university did his dissertation on shark movies. Stuff like Sharknado and Sharknopolis. I can't remember. There's one where it's snowing in the mountains and the shark is there because snow, water, close enough. It's very, very bizarre.
So Reality's Illusion is adding. It would be great if Tarantino did a horror film. Guys, thoughts on a Tarantino horror?
I'd pay to see it.
Well, I
guess it would be worth a look. I'm curious, but not optimistic.
Not optimistic, did you say?
Yes, pessimistic, I suppose the word would be.
All right.
Or optimistic, is there in
correct everything she says from here up?
that wasn't a correction.
All right. Listen,
I didn't hear you.
Well, got my eye on you, Bryan.
Let's just calm the fuck down, all right? Oh, I got a finger.
No, I was just surprised that you're not optimistic about a Tarantino horror film. So,
well, okay, why would you be optimistic?
Because
what do you expect from him?
Because he's a sensational director.
Sure, his films are a spectacle of sorts, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily. Not everyone gravitates to them, and I don't know what he'd do with it.
I gravitate.
I need some popcorn.
Keep shoveling, Emily.
Let me ask you this: what type of horror movie do you see him making? Monster movie, slasher, what was the genre you talked about in the Mateys video? Little Monsters. Do you see him doing anything like that?
Well, no, I see him making a slasher film. I mean,
I could
if
see
I'm
him
not
doing.
mistaken, he did write a script for.
Is it a slasher
Halloween.
film if they're carrying guns?
I could see him doing something similar to Get Out if you just dial up all that comedy with his friend. Way up. Like
Was Kill Bill a slasher? Was it more of a revenge?
Literally.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Tarantino did write a Halloween script.
Did he?
But
How long ago?
Never saw the light of day. So, yeah.
Why, Tim, didn't Tarantino write From Dusk Till Dawn?
He did. Didn't direct it, though. That was Robert Rodriguez.
Listen, the greatest line in cinematic history came from that movie, and I guess perhaps he wrote it. If you can find a cheaper pussy, fuck it.
Wise counsel there.
And that came from Cheech Marin. Sorry, I forgot my company. I'm in a European chat. Yeah. I should be less.
Yeah, we don't stand for that sort of
more
thing.
civil. Excuse me.
Buck up your ideas, you American pig.
Yeah. I'm gonna get my pickup truck and just fry something. Luke, did you chime in with an idea for Tarantino?
I don't know. I've been intrigued to see him try a horror, but I can't envision it. You know, it's like same with Nolan. Like I'd love to see him do a horror film. I don't know how it would feel, you know. But
I think it'd feel a bit like The Shining.
Yeah, yeah, maybe in that vein.
I'm glad my work was was appreciated in the chat. Yeah, I think Tarantino, if he did a slasher, he could probably get people invested in the characters, which is basically that's supposed to be the whole deal. Like for a slasher to work, you have to kind of be upset when they die, and there's supposed to be a couple that you want to root for to,
I think that's
make
precisely why I Know What You Did Last Summer didn't work, because I wanted them to die, but not in a good way.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of slasher movies that just they don't work.
Wolfman says you can see Tarantino doing a rape revenge film. I can definitely see him doing that. Yeah. I spit on your grave or something like that.
Maybe.
Right.
Exploitation horror, possibly.
Death Wish.
Well, how many has he got left now? Because he's got that 10 film quota.
He's retiring soon. He's got
sticking to that.
Has he done 8 or was it?
Listen,
9?
if Ridley Scott is planning 4 more Alien films at age 80?
Wait. So Tarantino's given himself an arbitrary limit on how many films.
Yeah, 10 and he's done.
10's the limit, and then he's out.
But I've seen
YouTube retiring.
He's produced movies as well.
Yeah.
I know Watch Mojo has done a top 10 Tarantino films list, so technically he's done 10.
Well,
like Kevin Smith retired about 6 years ago, but then again, he's a bit of an idiot. So,
understatement.
I can't see someone like Tarantino cutting himself off like that, because if he sat there one day and he gets an amazing idea,
what's he gonna do?
No way he's just gonna push that to one side and say, "Nope, I've done my 10."
Right. I mean, it's admirable to say, you know what? Let me, while I'm still okay.
Well, you could go into musical theater or something.
Sure, I guess, but I think what I've heard him say is that he doesn't want to be that guy who makes shit towards the end of his career. But I think Tarantino shit is still better than Paul W.S. Anderson greatest thing ever. That's all I have to say about that.
Just to throw a few British filmmakers into the hat, because the only one we've mentioned really is Edgar Wright. What about Neil Marshall? The Dog Soldiers and The Descent.
Dog Soldiers I've seen. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yes, I'm glad we agree.
I'm a big fan of When Harry Met Sally.
Good.
Nice. Have you not seen The Descent then, Emily?
Is that the one where they go cave diving?
Yeah.
Not to be confused with The Cavern. Or the cave.
Definitely not to be confused with The Cavern. No, it's a really good film. One of the best British horror films. Add it to the list.
I read an article once about how animalistic it was, and suggestive, namely.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Really good film.
I think I was in a Chinese buffet restaurant waiting to be seated when I read that article. I don't know why they had a film magazine in the foyer, but they did.
I wish they had more film magazines in foyers.
Is foyer the right word if it's a restaurant? What am I thinking of?
It works.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we're
in the waiting room.
We're particularly European today. Actually, mostly British. So why not? Let them adapt. Go look it up. You have Google at your fingertips.
You've told me not to use my fingertips.
Oh yeah, please no.
On the keyboard.
Our ears will get destroyed. Yeah, Danny Boyle, 13th Wolfman brought it up.
He made a sci-fi horror with Sunshine.
I haven't seen that.
I really wish it hadn't turned into that though.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, I hear it takes a weird turn.
Yeah, I preferred it the more straight that it was played in the beginning.
It's my second favorite Danny Boyle film.
I still loved it. It was
first favorite.
Really good film.
Social Network, not Social Network. Steve Jobs.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great film.
Sounds memorable.
It's an Aaron Sorkin script, so that kind of seals the deal for me, really.
I mean, Aaron Sorkin's words in a pretty decent director's vision is pretty impressive. I mean, you mentioned Social Network, which is another one that by by all intents and purposes, that movie should have not been worthwhile whatsoever. But it was incredible. It was captivating. It's just people talking and fighting over computer shit. Like, I don't know.
That it didn't get a nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay was quite frankly criminal.
Have you? Go ahead, Luke.
It got something for editing, though, right?
Right. Okay.
Well, it should have. Editing's great in that film.
It is. It's an astounding film. It really is. Like you say, it shouldn't work. It's just a bunch of people talking, but it's so captivating. Anyway, we're here. We're here for horror, so.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Well, we're not exactly. I mean, they can handle it. They're doing their own thing in there, talking about Danny Boyle, and Tarantino is just driving things still.
It's not like a Scream stream would be centered around a Star Wars trailer or anything like that. You
know? Says the guy who was asked to do said Scream stream. Well, we might as well get to it for now, guys. If there's something else you want to talk about while we cover Alien Covenant, go ahead and get to it. I think we have rather dissenting opinions. Bryan, your initial thought on Alien Covenant?
I loved it.
Thank you, Zach.
Mustn't laugh.
No, I loved it. I love that Ridley Scott is now doing something different with these films. I don't think he can win in this situation, because I think if he came back and just did a claustrophobic horror movie set on a spaceship, people are just going to say, why are you rehashing? You're pissing all over your legacy because you're just rehashing the same film you already did better 30 odd years ago. So he does something different. He makes a film about ideas. He makes a film that is all about questions, and he puts more focus on the android character, his David character, which I really loved. I loved that angle. And now he's getting crapped on for it because it doesn't resemble that first Alien film he did. So he can't win. But if he's going to do one of the two, then I prefer he go this route. I'm happy he's gone this route.
Luke?
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because a lot of complaints I've seen are exactly that he's just rehashing stuff. Just people saying, well, it's just a mix of all four of them put together with nothing original. Like, it's astounding, some of the comments and like letterbox reviews I've seen for Covenant. Like, oh, truly terrible film, just absolute mess. And it's like, what?
The middle film in a trilogy is never the most liked, is it? It has some filling in to do, but it can't be too, well, it has to be leading to an extent, but it can't give away too much. It's just waiting for the final film.
Yeah, is this technically the second film of?
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
A trilogy.
There was going to be 6 more, then 4 more, 3 more, and now he's saying 1 or maybe 2. So,
right. He's going to alternate between that and Blade Runner, just back and forth every 6 months. Blade Runner, Alien. Blade Runner, Alien.
He's not going to do a crossover movie at some point.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be incredible.
So some people have theorized that they are in the same universe as each other, haven't they?
Well, yeah, isn't Wayland, isn't that corporation got like a sign? I think it's like an Easter egg in Blade Runner that the company is like in that universe.
Yeah.
Well, my dad would know. That's his favorite movie.
Uh-huh.
He's very excited to see the new movie.
I'd love it if they did that. Actually, if they
really
tied the two together.
In space, no one can hear tears in rain. I guess I'm Zach in that moment. I thought I was going somewhere, but
it's funny. As for as much as you guys talked about it, I was getting a very Alien echo in Covenant. I felt like it had the same pacing, the same beats as Alien did. to a degree. And again, like I think it focuses on a character more than anything. I think that the android angle is so incredible in Covenant, which again you're calling it Alien Covenant, which perhaps people are going to be upset at it. I mean, I know Dennis was pissed. Dennis said that
Only
they called
two
it Alien.
aliens.
Well, yeah, he said that it's called Alien. I want to see aliens. So,
And you did.
touche. I mean, Prometheus. It's sort of an offspring of touche. It's an offspring of Prometheus to some degree. Bryan, you brought up Covenant. The what Covenant actually means. Do you want to expand on that? And I would agree with what you said in your review.
Well, it's just. I mean, the word covenant is certainly within the Judeo-Christian world is derived from, an agreement between God and man. If you look at the story of Noah and the flood, in which God wipes out mankind by raining, the first time rain ever fell from the heavens, and wipes out mankind with a flood. Well, David does that here. He rains down a flood of black goo on the creators, essentially killing God with the same method that he wiped out mankind.
Spoiler alert for anybody who's.
Oh, fuck it.
Yeah. Sorry, it's right at the beginning of the film, and to be honest, it was in that prologue that they've already released.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. Like.
I didn't see the prologue, and when I watched that, I was slapping Dennis to my side like this is incredible, because at that moment I knew that. At that moment I knew that what he was telling somebody else how things went down didn't go down that way, and yeah, no, I was all on board with that. I'm sorry, David sprang down the black goo. Biblical stuff.
Yeah, so like that right there, the title, the way it ties into that particular biblical story, and then that scene, which essentially kind of links the title to the themes of what's going on, and then what you've got next, and I'll try to say this without ruining anything else, but like I say, that scene was in the prologue. I did see that coming, but the rest is this conversation between really an android with free will and an android without free will. So you've got one who, that brings up questions about the nature of love. If God creates us programmed to love him, then it's not love. It's just programming.
Well, he would know. He invented it, surely.
Well, yeah. So if you give true love, which is born out of free will, i.e., somebody chooses to love, then that carries with it the possibility that actually they'll throw that in your face and instead decide to usurp you and become you and see themselves in your place and take on the position of God themselves as a creator. And that's essentially what this film, to me, was about. And I thought it dealt with those themes brilliantly. I thought it presented them in a really excellent way. And for me, I would much prefer to go and see a film like that has ideas in aplenty in it, rather than just seeing yet another film in which a bunch of people are stuck on a ship trying to avoid being killed by an alien.
Yeah, I would agree. As far as messages are concerned, it's closest related to this than any of the original four. I mean, Alien was such a. I mean, they had classes in my school where just the parallels and how much they were just beating over your head that everything was an allusion for sex in Alien, and the message wasn't quite as serious and strong as, say, Prometheus or Covenant, and I kind of appreciate
There was a message about the nature of love in Aliens, wasn't there?
Oh, motherhood. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And I actually prefer Aliens to Alien as well. You know, there's not much between them. Either way you cut it, they're both classic films. But I did prefer Aliens over Alien, and probably because of that element, that there was a bit more meat there to chew on with regards to the characters and what was at stake. So I think we've got that here as well.
I've noticed with recent sci-fis, stuff like Interstellar, The Discovery, a couple of others, that there really is a place for this sort of high concept, what is the meaning of life stuff, and it seems to be in space. Like, we have to get so far away from ourselves to even start considering that.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think in this fucking metropolis. I'm going to go to space.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? I mean, because that's the unknown. It's the one thing that we don't truly have any answers for. So you can go there and project whatever kind of internal thinking is going on and bring it back down to earth, essentially.
It seems odd to me that the seat of spirituality, we have to go where only science can realistically take us. I'm probably thinking too deeply into it.
No, I think there's something there. I think there's something to be said for it.
Luke? Anything to add?
In space, no one can hear you think, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I recently watched the 2 Ghost in the Shell movies, the original animated version and the remake. And quite recently, around the time I watched Covenant, and same kind of, question about the robot and free will and things like that and stuff. Yeah, like high concept, but then like themes that we can somehow relate to in a strange way. Seems to be quite prevalent in science fiction. Good science fiction, anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how you and I talked about it privately, Luke, where let me see if I could skate and not ruin something. So there's a creator that is doing something and doesn't realize that it's wrong and needs to get corrected by some. Do you know what I'm talking about, Luke? When there's a quote and it's misquoted, or
yeah, right.
Isn't there some of that even when somebody's doing something wrong, they don't think what they're doing is wrong. Oh shit! What am I trying to say? Fuck.
Well, the antagonist of the film does horrible and horrific things, but they believe what they're doing is right, and they don't see the other side of it. And that's usually the best villains. The villains who have motivations that they believe in. They don't think
no one's the villain in their own story.
They don't think they're evil. They're just fulfilling their purpose.
Yeah. I personally think David, across these 2 films with Prometheus and Covenant, is one of the best villains we've had in recent years,
especially in Covenant.
Such an intriguing character, and the progression from that first spark in Prometheus, where he thinks, actually, maybe I can go my own way, to where we end up at the end of Covenant. It's just such a brilliant character arc.
It's so layered as well. Like this, there were so many moments in Covenant where I wasn't quite sure what was going on in his head. Like there's just so many ways to read into it. So many, like, that's what I'm looking forward to when I see it again. It's just watching his performance.
Yeah. There's a moment where some gnarly. We witness a death, and David witnesses one too, and it's just kind of like, well, what's that about? Yeah. The trick, Mr. Potter, is not minding that it hurts. I forgot, where was it? Shit. It'd be Failcopter. It'd be interesting to see an alien film from the alien's POV, much less dialogue, and a story of what creature on its own would do to survive. Thoughts?
I think maybe for a video game that would be a good idea.
Ooh.
It would be like watching an episode of Walking with Dinosaurs.
I don't even know what that is.
All right. Okay. It's a
It
British
was a documentary series, wasn't it? that use
Yeah,
a lot of
it's like a
CGI.
documentary. Yeah, it's all done by CGI, and it's kind of like Jurassic Park, but done
It was
as
a little bit
nature.
terrifying at times, like the killer ants from prehistoric times. Did you see that episode?
I mean, I never actually watched it, if I'm being
Oh.
perfectly honest. But
So what?
I'm just.
I guess you didn't see Dinotopia either.
Oh, did I? I don't know. So many different. Was that the crappy ITV series with the?
I think it was Sky One actually.
Oh, we're getting distinctly British.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, just that the idea sounds. I don't know. Without a human element in there, it would come off like a little bit like a wildlife documentary.
He did add.
Nature can be particularly savage. If you've ever seen any nature documentary when one species is eating the crap out of another, it's still. You feel. What was that video that came out recently of a lizard running away from a pit of snakes? Everyone I know who saw that was on the edge of their seat watching it.
That was great.
Isn't that
It
Planet
was
Earth?
so thrilling.
Yeah, Planet Earth too, I think.
So he adds, maybe it's the idea that you don't only work out what you are when you don't have outside context. Am I reading that broken up? Maybe it's the idea that you only work out what you are when you don't have outside context.
This was back to the working out the mysteries of life in space thing from earlier.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question for you two who've seen Covenant, and if anyone wants to avoid even tiny spoilers and just stop listening for 5 seconds, we see the POV of the alien. Like, what did you think of that? Like the inside the head.
Does it have eyes?
It's just like this wall of, and there's like these weird things in front of it.
I'm trying to think when that happened.
I'm struggling to remember what you're talking.
It's right at the end. Again, I can't really. One of the xenomorphs near the end of the film is going down a corridor, and then suddenly we're inside.
Is it in the point of that thing at the back of its head? Is that what?
No, it's in the front of the head.
Okay.
It's like an insect. The whole dome is just.
It's like a video game, just kind of like first person view.
Right.
And there's like weird stuff across the. I was like,
Of all the things I noticed, the monitor is the thing I was just like, interesting.
There's at least 2 shots of it, and I didn't know what to make of it. Whether it was
Man. Oh, horror addicts! I don't know. I'm assuming it's Gory that's joining us. Ooh, Emily's here. Hi, Emily, and CP2, of course. Well, Jesus, it's my fucking channel. Thanks. Hey, Gory or Danny or Lols. That'd be a hell of a twist. Or everybody. Hello to everybody. Bryan, your thoughts on the POV?
I don't have any because I honestly don't remember it from the film. So
I see.
Didn't make that much of an impact on me, to be honest.
really.
Then I'm not a. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I'm not a gamer at all. I don't play computer games, so
okay.
I haven't seen the Predator movies,
I heard 2 words, and it wasn't gamer.
I haven't seen the Predator movies, but I gather that this thing is heat-seeking. So I guess we see its POV at some point, do we? That would make sense to me.
Are you referring Predator now, or?
Yes.
Oh.
I've said it twice.
Well, I don't know. I thought you were making a comparison, possibly.
I was trying to. Like I said, I don't know if we get POV from the Predator because I know something about it, the way it operates, but help me out.
We see its heat vision.
Yes, thank you.
But video gaming has nothing to really do. I thought it was an odd choice to go. I don't know if I dislike it. It was just something we've never seen before, and I was quite like
weird shot selections. What you're saying?
Well, no, not just the going inside the head of the alien for a couple of shots just seemed a bit. I don't know. It stood out.
It's so much so I don't remember it.
Yeah, I'm really quite surprised.
No, there's a couple things I wanted to go back and check.
I'm just making it up. It never happened.
I would believe that, to be honest.
No, it is.
No, I really didn't though. But,
Maybe you were just trying to imagine how it would be shot from like a European cinema kind of angle. And just fed that
so
into-
themed. Yeah. There's I think it's in the trailer where they're running through the wheat. I already told this to Luke, Bryan. I'll tell you and the audience that there's I think the first real moment of, oh shit, things are going horribly awry, is when the group that lands in this wheat section, and they have to fight something that's not human, and I couldn't help but think of Lost World.
Yeah.
And all I could hear is, "Don't go into long grass." And Dennis, of course, said, what did you expect, a raptor to come out? And I was like, no, I just you killed my joke.
I'd really like to kind of answer some of the criticisms about the film, but I can't seem to find a way to do it without.
All right, well, tread carefully. I mean, if you step over, you step over, guys. Excuse me. Yeah. So, guys, you're having a gentle warning.
Yeah. Well, there isn't really any way to do it. I mean, one of the big criticisms I've heard is that the crew are really stupid for going down on that planet in the first place, and they just wouldn't do it.
I don't agree with that.
And I don't agree with it at all, because
Well, they've come all that way.
You can say that in the original Alien, that they see the ship and go, "Oh, we're going back." Like,
yeah, it's just like the thing is, I think they have more reason in this to be stupid and go down to the planet than they did in the original Alien.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're colonists.
Exactly. They're colonists who just see.
This happens early though, like really early. This is Act 1 stuff, I think.
It does, but you don't. Like, if it was me personally, I don't want anything given away, really. If I'm going into a film fresh, I mean, it's only when I said that before and you called it out that I realised, oh yeah, it's not been released in America yet. I keep forgetting that because I always just assume America's got it before us.
How often do we have to deal with it? I love saying "we" in this context too, by the way. How often do we have to wait?
It's just, yeah. Put it this way: if you'd seen the film and you turn around to me and you say, "Yeah, they're stupid for going down there. This film is crap because of that, because it's got a bunch of stupid people who do stupid stuff," I would honestly be able to have an argument against that.
Right.
I think that's far from the case.
They're presented with a bit of a Goldilocks situation. This is like the third time I've referenced Goldilocks in a week. I don't know what where the planet that they're supposed to go to, they still have a couple of years to get there, where they find this Goldilocks planet, which actually is a better fit for them.
Yeah.
That is a lot closer, that they don't have to go into hypersleep for. Yeah. So of course.
And you wouldn't want to go back into hypersleep given what's just happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's a horror.
And you're also now down a particular crew member who actually is the one who should be calling these shots. So it's like, it's like there's far more reason why these people would go down to that planet than the people who are in Alien, who are essentially just a mining vessel taking their payload home. There's no reason for them to stop and check out that ship.
Listen, they need to focus on that bonus situation first of all.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, it's just to me, I don't have a problem with the crew in this. I actually think they're a better crew than we got in Prometheus.
I was just so attached to that member that just wasn't able to make that decision, Bryan. Let me tell you, with all that screen time. Sorry. Frames of that person's face. I think we saw.
Yeah.
13th Wolfman, answer me this, CP or Bryan. Oh, Luke saw it too. We talked about this film. This We talked about this. Is this the planet?
We talked about this. Is this the planet from the first movie?
No. No, right? No.
Nope.
No.
See, people can say the crew is stupid, but like if the crew knew like everything and were perfect, then people would say, "Oh, it's just a bunch of Mary Sues, lazy writing." It's the same kind of people.
Right.
Just put
Yeah, it's character stupidity versus contrivance. It always comes down to a toss-up between.
Who's a toss-up?
Putting myself in their position, given what's just happened, it's going to take a lot for you to be able to get me to go back into one of those pods.
Sure.
You know, if you're telling me that there's a perfectly inhabitable planet down below that actually has better, you know, the monitors are telling us it's probably better situated for us than the one we were intending on going to.
Yeah, no, but why didn't we know about this planet beforehand?
Because
it didn't show up if
that's a bit of an argument.
Suspicious.
Yeah.
No,
Get in the pod, Brian.
There's no argument.
They're all sorts of. They're like 10 different flavors of fucked up because something happened with the pods, and let's just say they're not entirely secure.
Yeah.
So they're rattled to begin with about.
And they explain why they couldn't see the planet as well. So
it was hiding behind some dust.
it was like some kind of radiation type thing that was blocking it from scanners. But
right.
Yeah, I got no qualms with the crew with regards to whether or not they're stupid or not.
Anybody else get the Easter egg that the ship was shaped like a dick? Well, I'm being serious because it ties to Alien. I'm not being.
Is that really the most streamlined thing in the world?
Well, no. They have a there's only. It's not incredibly focused on a bit, but I just remember seeing it and thinking it looked like the cover of a Tool album, which is like a wrench with parts that look like testicles, and the top
so it did have of the okay. So the ship did have a pair, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Dong talk, Gory. You brought it out of me. I guess no.
So just imagine like being sat in the cinema and watching a shot of that ship going overhead, and I'm thinking, man, that looks gorgeous. And CP's like, that looks like a dick.
Why would he say it with such awe in his voice? Such wonder.
Looks like a big Johnson.
It's everything I was hoping for.
Please divert anybody.
Did either of you two? You've not seen it, have you, Emily?
No.
Right. So, did either of you two? I didn't, but apparently this was a big hysterical moment for most people who saw it. A particular exchange of dialogue about blowing and fingering.
Mm-hmm. How did I miss that?
What's a bajingo?
It's a hoo-ha. It's just she part.
That's one I've never heard before.
It's when one character is teaching another character how to play the flute.
Oh, yes. Oh, and then
is that what they're calling it?
That's followed by the. Well, not directly afterwards, but an intimate moment.
Yeah.
If you remember that. That was kind of odd. No, just on a number of levels. So yeah, you know what? I guess sex is quite prevalent in a modern fashion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we're just gonna trail off and.
The chat's gone in an interesting direction.
Yeah. I really regret bringing up cockship because, oh boy.
One little Easter egg I didn't like so much was the little bird thing that dips its beak in the water from the original Alien. Like it wasn't in the background; it was like center of frame. It was like the blue milk in Rogue One.
It was the Inception top type focus.
I like the original score being piped in every now and again. That was really cool.
Oh, you like the original score being piped in? I heard
So,
Scorpion. You heard what? Scorpion?
By
No,
pipe, I don't
score.
mean penis.
No. Well, I heard Scorpion, and one of the creatures had a very scorpion-like tendency. One of the earlier ones, and I thought that was kind of unique. I guess I can't go any further on that, can I? Honestly, the way Xenos breed is all remarkably like human pregnancy, hence why the movies scared the hell out of me when I was preggers. Why the fuck toast would you watch that movie when you're pregnant? Any alien movie when you're pregnant.
It's just a very poor idea.
Well, yeah.
Watch when you're pregnant. Alien, Rosemary's Baby, Inside.
Yeah.
Probably others.
Certainly not Prometheus, too. Probably worse.
No, definitely not. No.
Do you think it's as overt in Alien as it is in Prometheus, guys? The pregnancy angle.
I think so. I've heard plenty of people say that the first Alien movie is about the male fear of birth and how horrifying.
Boys, should I rearrange to something non-sexual and maybe we can not talk like grown-ups?
No, I'm just trying to think about how it. I'm just trying to think about Covenant and the way it plays in. I don't.
Well, Covenant is more creation than pregnancy, right? More. Well, no, Luke. I didn't mean creation in the.
No, it's just the way that you did the weird kind of look. And
What? See, I have Emily doing this, just fucking stapled to the front of my brain for some.
Doing what? Sorry, I clicked away. What was I doing?
Nothing. No, nothing. Okay. Luke, were you onto a different thing, or you just wanted to shit on my head?
a little bit, yeah. It's tricky with Alien and Prometheus, though, because Alien, I don't know, just Prometheus, I just think of the surgery bed scene and how horrific that must be for women to watch in a lot of ways. But it's not sex. Well, I guess, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting, what do you call it? Subtext to the Alien films.
Subtext, that was the word I was dying to find. Yes, subtext.
The uncomfortable nature of all that stuff.
Yeah, it's... Yeah. I was just about to say that Prometheus probably didn't have so much sexual subtext, but nope, you just kind of hammered that idea right out of my head. I think Covenant, less sexually, but more about creation and just a. Go ahead.
And also in Alien, obviously you have the face hugger and the thing goes down his throat, but you never see that. And in Prometheus, you get two like proper full-on shots.
Yeah. Well, Aliens was kind of the subtext was about motherhood. I mean, Sigourney Weaver, a scene that they cut out, which really unfortunately so. If you can watch Aliens and tolerate it a little bit longer, they have that scene where Sigourney Weaver hears about her daughter, growing old and dying, and that's
the best version of the film anyway.
It is.
Right. No, I agree. Right. So it really fills out her character, and what I would say the theme of, her taking on, embracing the role of a mother in Aliens.
Apparently, Sigourney Weaver was really pissed off when they cut that out of the theatrical cut because she based her whole performance on that scene.
Wow. Yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
Well, if you think about that first film being, as you put it, I guess the fear of giving birth, then I guess Aliens is a response to that, in the sense that actually, once you get over that mountain of giving birth, you then have the joy of motherhood.
Never mind that the conception was rather unwilling, which has some unfortunate implications.
Yes. I'm not saying it's a perfect analogy. I'm just.
Well, yeah, and then we kind of swing.
Sorry to poke holes in your lovely theory.
Well, no, it does kind of take this weird route, because part 3 we come back around the bend, and you want to talk about unwanted birth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, we should just focus on Alien one of these times. The whole Sega. Anything else to scratch on before we cut it down, guys?
Nope.
All right. I guess I'll leave it to the chat really quickly. I'm sorry, Brian. Brian's exhausted, but the earliest of us, right? It's 12:16 where you are, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna wind down. If you guys have anything to ask, do so now. What do you guys have coming up? Brian, do you have enough focus to tell us what you got coming up on your channel?
I'm trying to make my way through Stanley Kubrick's filmography.
Why? He's not that great.
Overrated.
Wait till you get to 2001. It's such a slog, but really good. To clarify, I meant it can be quite a slog, but you need to be in the right mood for it.
Sure.
Hurry up, space.
I've seen 2001 twice. So yeah, looking forward to that third time around.
Oh, Brian, tell me no if not. I'd like to ask you your opinion on the Halloween franchise, but if you're not into it, because you just kind of sat yourself through all of them, I just wanted a general opinion on that entire trek. You could just say it sucked. Please get me out of here. But
my general opinion is that for every very good film, there are 3 really shit films.
3. Yeah.
That's optimistic.
Yeah. 1, 2, H2O, I think, is of that lot.
Well, no, I'd say 1, 4, and H2O.
Oh, you don't like 2?
I see it as quite pointless. It's slasher by numbers. And I think it's a very good example of seeing how 2 different directors can use the same cinematographer and not get the same results. Because you've got Dean Cundy working as cinematographer on both Halloween 1 and 2, and he isn't allowed to use his big wide-angle lenses on Halloween 2 as much as he was with the first film.
Yeah,
which speaks volumes. So next time you watch those 2 films together, just have that in mind.
Will do.
Yeah, Dean Cundy, quite. Dean Cundy was the Thing too, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Back to the Future.
Well, but I wouldn't think anything majestic about the way Back to the Future looks. Please don't kill me. I mean, it's a great movie. I wouldn't say, oh my God, that shot.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So there's that. Emily, I've seen that you have something as we speak that just came out.
Yes, it finally uploaded. It's taken 2 days. It's been an ordeal.
And what is that?
That is my Nightmare on Elm Street 2 review.
Have you seen the rest of the series yet?
No, not yet. I'll get on that. Don't worry.
All right, I'll ask. Who's worried?
I do kind of address it in the video, but yeah, I don't have an excuse.
How do you feel so far? 2 movies into Nightmare on Elm Street.
They're very different. I think 2 is renowned at this point for not really following the rules. So I don't quite know what to make of it this early on. Just for comparison's sake, I'd have to watch more movies to make up my mind.
You know, I did all of the Nightmare on Elm Street films last year, and yeah, that second film is definitely different.
Do you want to talk about subtext?
Yep.
It's not even. They don't even attempt to hide it, though. That's the thing.
I think they did initially. Yeah. There was some
the
denial.
director of that film says there is none. Like he wasn't making it
For the longest
intention
time, and
to
I think there was some concern on the part of the main, the protagonist. What was the name of the actor, the main guy?
Yeah.
Him.
He was worried about being typecast for reasons. So
Well, the director
Well, he
came out too.
Yeah.
yeah, the actor did eventually, but I think at the time he was reluctant to, for his career.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's live, right, Emily? Like it's legit. I mean, people are
it's up
in the chat. So
goodbye, everybody.
They're headed over to your video apparently.
Oh no.
And Luke.
Well, I've been sitting around for a couple of weeks thinking, my taste in films is just far too mainstream. So I thought I would look at something from the silent era, which is not like me at all. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, I just reviewed a 7-hour silent film.
I look forward to seeing that.
I think I left my oven on. I might be busy that day. Anything that well, have you covered anything? Well, V. When did you do V? That was fairly recently, right? That's a horror-related film. Right?
Yeah, it was a good horror. It was very strange, Russian. I think the first Soviet horror film.
Mm-hmm. And that's not that far back, right? That's a couple weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah, a couple of months, I think.
Is that the most recent horror-related thing that you've done?
Probably, I guess. I mean, I've reviewed Covenant.
Oh, my apologies.
That's
and a spoiler talk. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The males in this room I have a weird vloggy type video. We all have separate types of Covenant videos if you'd like to see them, including a spoiler one from both. No, just Luke.
Yeah. No, Bryan did one as well.
Bryan, did you had spoiler talk in that?
Yeah.
I did an explanation video.
Yeah, because when I clicked on that and I said, I don't know what needs to explaining, but oh, look at that, 15,000 views.
It's on 23 now.
God bless.
Awesome.
Holy shit, man.
Put the word DIY somewhere in the title. That'll help.
I've taken some hatred for that video, though, let me tell you.
Oh, have you? My heart bleeds, Bryan.
Alien Covenant review, ASMR.
I'm getting some brilliant comments of the day to throw up on Twitter, I can tell you that much.
Have you guys watched any French horror? Sorry, last question, then we'll get out of here.
Some French horror. Inside I've mentioned already. In My Skin is another one, which is very difficult to sit through.
That's with Antonio Banderas?
No.
Oh, what am I thinking of?
I don't know.
I think
The Eye Inside, is it?
I didn't know Antonio Banderas had been in
Skin I
anything
Live In.
horror related.
The Skin I Live In, that's it. Sorry.
Ah, I see.
I knew Skin was in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Skin Flip? No.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure
some. Not much. Not as much as I'd like.
if Eyes Without a Face is French. I can't remember.
It is French.
It is. All right, that's a really good one.
Yeah, that's on my list.
Did the song come first or the movie?
The movie.
Well, I don't
Billy
know.
Idol. Billy Idol was like 83, 4, 5, 6, 80. Eyes Without a Face is 50 something, and Billy Idol definitely. I don't even know if he was born when that movie came out. Yeah. So that's it, guys. Thanks for joining us. Any closing thoughts other than your channels?
I want to go to bed.
All right, Bryan. All right. So it's Bryan Lomax Movie Talk, Emily's Adventures in Horrorland, and RazorWire Reviews. And I, of course, am Dick Face Fun Toast. Have a day, guys.